Hey everybody, and welcome back to another episode here at Whiteboard Medicine. We appreciate you checking it out. Hope everybody is having a good day. We are just finishing a week rounding the medical intensive care unit, where the CPOT score is something that was frequently utilized in our mechanically ventilated patient population. And that's what we're going to be talking about today, the critical care pain observation tool. Hopefully by the end of this episode, whether you're listening to it in podcast form or watching it in YouTube video form, we hope by the end you have a full grasp on what the CPOT score is, how to do it, including a step-by-step approach, what the numbers mean, how to ensure you're treating the right thing in our critically ill patients. Level up your medical knowledge faster. Join a community of like-minded individuals interested in emergency critical care medicine. Consider joining our YouTube members community. In this community, you will get early access to new videos before they go public, members-only videos including deeper dives, bonus content, study guides, and more, and members-only medical education posts, updates, extra learning resources, and much more. If you're serious about mastering emergency critical care medicine or just want to join a community of like-minded individuals, this is the best way to learn with us every single week. If interested, hit that join button, and I hope to see you inside. Treating pain with pain medication, treating agitation with sedation, identifying delirium, and utilizing ways to curb delirium, all those good things. And that, I hope, will really elevate our approach to these patients. At the end, we do have 3 practice questions as well, but no further ado, let's dive in. What is the CPOT score? Well, CPOT is a validated bedside tool used to assess pain in either intubated patients or nonverbal patients. And to be fair, we most often use this in intubated patients, but there is kind of 2 parallel scoring strategies that you can do in an intubated patient or a nonverbal patient. We want to pause here and tease out this definition a little bit. So the first is that it's validated. This means it has been studied. This isn't just some willy-nilly kind of thing people threw together and said, yeah, that sounds good, let's do it, right? It has been validated in the literature as an appropriate tool to assess pain in these populations. It's bedside. Right? This is not a score that you're going to be able to do from the computer, right? You have to go see the patient, evaluate the patient. And it's a tool. That means it's not the end-all be-all. It's an adjunct to the rest of the clinical picture and the rest of your kind of management and diagnostic approach to that patient. It should be a data point within the larger context of that patient's kind of clinical progression. And obviously it's used to assess pain, right? This is a very specific type of condition, right? This isn't agitation. This isn't delirium. This is pain. And we treat these conditions with different approaches, which is why it's so important. So this is used to identify pain. If you've seen any of our other episodes, if you're interested, just search Whiteboard Medicine, RAS or sedation or something, and you'll get a nice episode on the RAS scoring. We also have a CAM ICU episode, so you can search Whiteboard Medicine CAM ICU, which is the tool that looks at delirium. So there's different scores to look at these other types of things that could be going on, but the CPOT score is for pain. Okay, so key concept: sedation does not equal analgesia, right? If you're in pain, the treatment is, well, other than also discovering why they're in pain, but the treatment for the pain is analgesia. If you're agitated and it's not because of pain, the treatment might be sedation. And if you're delirious, the treatment, although maybe is going to be related to these 2 things, but it is not necessarily those 2 things. So all these are separate syndromes that we approach differently. So why do we use CPOT? Well, intubated patients can't often tell us that they're hurting, right? Some of them can. Some of them are totally awake and can, mouth or write on a sheet of paper that my arm hurts or my leg hurts, but most of them do not maintain that degree of kind of awareness. They can't tell you they hurt. So pain shows up in different ways: tachycardia and hypertension, ventilator desynchrony, grimacing, guarding rigidity, agitation that looks like anxiety. And all these things in our critically ill patients are things we often, kind of like explore more, right? If someone gets tachycardic, we're thinking, oh, are they febrile? Are they septic? Now, do they have a PE? Are they hypovolemic? Or in reality, maybe they're just in pain. Same thing with hypertension. They get hypertensive and we're like, oh gosh, we got to put them on an antihypertensive or start nicardipine or something, but maybe we actually just need to treat their pain. Ventilator desynchrony, same thing. We got to switch them to a different mode of ventilation. Should we sedate them? But if we just treat their pain, maybe it gets better, right? You can see the pattern here. We won't belabor the point, but identifying pain can save you a lot of pain, pun intended, of chasing all these other things that might be going on, when in reality, the manifestation that you're seeing is just because the patient's in pain. So CPOT helps you detect pain earlier, treat said pain, and avoid reflexively escalating sedation when in reality you should be treating the pain. So what does the CPOT measure? Well, it looks at behavioral signs of pain across 4 different domains. Okay, domain 1 is facial expressions, domain 2 is body movements, 3 is muscle tension, and 4 is ventilator compliance or vocalizations if they're not intubated. And each one of these categories is scored 0 through 2, and the total score is 0 to 8. Right? So CPOT scoring system is 0 through 8 with 4 domains that can get a 0 or a 1 or a 2. So starting with facial expressions, right? So 0 for all these are going to be, they're not in pain, right? So for facial expressions, 0 is their facial expressions is relaxed. They're neutral. They look comfortable. Whereas a score of 1, they're going to be tense. Maybe they're lowering their brows or frowning or tightening their orbits. And then a score of 2, they're going to be grimacing, pronounced facial tension, clenched jaw, right? So you can see that. So 0 is going to be, they look most comfortable. And 2 is going to be, for all these, they look least comfortable. So that's the higher the score, the more kind of signs of pain you are seeing within that domain. So domain number 2, body movements. So 0, which is that they're comfortable, there's no movement, they're normal positioning, they're relaxed. CPOT score of 1 for body movements is protective movements. They're kind of cautious when you're touching painful areas. They might kind of look like they want to protect that area. In 2 for body movements is they're restless. They're pulling at tubes, they're thrashing around because they're in so much pain. Muscle tension, this one can be a tough one, especially in our critically ill patients, because sometimes they get some degree of muscle tension or spasticity or rigidity, goodness, or clonus, or things depending on their pathology. But a score of 0 is they don't have muscle tension. They're relaxed. You can move all their arms and legs. Things are nice and relaxed and loose. 1 is there's some resistance, and then 2 is they're very tense. They're rigid. They don't want you to move it. But we got to take it within the clinical context, because again, a lot of pathology can cause rigidity as well. And then number 4 is going to be ventilator compliance, or if they're not intubated, vocalizations. But if intubated, are they tolerating the ventilator, right? No alarms. They're nice and compliant. 1 is going to be they're coughing but tolerating. There's occasional desynchrony. They cough every once in a while, but overall things are looking pretty good. And then 2 is they're fighting the ventilator, right? There's all this desynchrony. The alarms are blaring. Respiratory therapy's in and out of that room nonstop. If extubated, I guess we'll go through this, although we don't classically use the CPOT score in these patients, but you can. 0 would be talking normally, 1 would be sighing, moaning, and 2 would be kind of crying out and sobbing. Okay, so if we go through a step-by-step way that you can perform this through these 4 domains, right? Face, movement, muscle, and vent. Step-by-step, you start by, and we always laugh when we were putting this together, because at Whiteboard Medicine, we're a group of physicians, right? So we certainly will look at the CPOT and talk about the CPOT and occasionally do our own CPOT, but CPOTs are best done by our masterful, brilliant ICU nurses. So if we have any great ICU nurses in the crowd here, let us know. Share with the community your tips and tricks. Let us know if we got anything wrong, because you guys are the real master of it. We are just kind of extrapolating, reading and evidence and our anecdotal experience here. Obviously, none of this is intended to be acted upon as medical advice, all that good stuff too. But yeah, if we have any great nurses, share with the community your experiences with the CPOT score. So step 1, observe the patient just at baseline, right? Score them while they're resting. What's their face look like? Are they moving anything? Do they look like they have good synchrony with the ventilator? Step 2, Observe them during some type of more uncomfortable procedure. Maybe they're getting suctioning, right? Maybe they're turning or repositioning, wound care, all that good stuff. Because pain sometimes shows up during stimulation, even if at baseline they look okay. And then step 3, reassess them after you have controlled some of their pain. Their CPOT score should be improving with pain control if you're going down the right road, right? It's best used as a trending tool. So do it before, then give them medications if you think they need it, and then repeat it after. If their CPOT score is not improving with pain medication, then it's probably not from pain, right? I suppose you could be underdosing their pain medication as well. But again, this is a trending tool. This is a tool to be used within the larger context of the patient's presentation, and it's something that should be done in series with reassessments. What do the numbers actually mean? We've talked about the 4 domains. We've talked about how to score them. We've talked about some step-by-step approaches, but what do the numbers actually mean? Exact thresholds are going to vary by institution, right? Again, as we always say, this is not intended to be acted upon as medical advice and just used blindly. We got full disclaimers in the episode description and at the end of the episode. And please, read about it. Talk to your institutions. All institutions are a little bit different, but in general, a CPOT score of 0 to 2 is often considered minimal or acceptable pain, right? Where a CPOT score of greater than 3, most people would suggest you could consider escalating analgesia. Okay, so 0 to 2 is like the porridge is just right. More than 3, maybe too much pain. Where CPOT fits into the ICU workflow, and we've talked about this a little throughout the episode already, but just to be more explicit, pain evaluations in our mechanically ventilated patients, CPOT scoring. Sedation evaluations in our mechanically ventilated patients, RASS scoring. Delirium assessments in our mechanically ventilation patients, CAM-ICU scoring. And we do have episodes on all these. Just search whiteboard medicine and then insert which thing you're looking into if you want kind of a deeper dive on all of them. So treat pain first, analgesia first. That's kind of like one of the mantras is we have an analgesia first approach to patients, so treat pain first, and if pain is adequately controlled, then you can start targeting sedation with RASS, and you should be screening for delirium with CAM-ICU. Clinical interpretation of things. Before, I guess we'll rewind. Agitation does not equal anxiety, right? Because they're quote-unquote agitated does not just mean they need reflexively more sedation, right? Before you increase sedation, ask, is the CPOT high? Are they in pain? Do they have a reason to be in pain? And if the CPOT is high, even if the RASS is high, remember RASS was for sedation, but if the CPOT is high, pain may be driving that agitation, and a lot of people would suggest you should treat the pain before you escalate sedation. That analgesia first approach. Okay, so we do RASS much more frequently, I should, in general, but if the RASS is high, do a CPOT, right? See if they're in pain, and treat that pain first, and that might help their RASS. And if their pain's adequately treated and the RASS is still high and you're trying to target a different RASS, then maybe sedation is the right choice, but don't just throw more sedation at a problem, because it could be pain driving that problem rather than anxiety. All right, into 3 practice questions. If you have not had practice questions with them before, we have 3 multiple choice practice questions, beginning, intermediate, advanced. We will read the question, read the answer options, and then we go right into the answer. So if you need more time to think about it, just pause the episode, because we'll dive right into the answer after going through the question choices. So question 1, CPOT is most useful for assessing pain in which patient? A patient who's alert who can self-report pain. B, a nonverbal mechanically ventilated ICU patient. C, patients being discharged from the emergency department. Or D, a patient who is brain dead. Correct answer is B. CPOT is designed for patients unable to self-report pain, right? So intubated ICU patients are that exact patient population. All right, question 2, intermediate. Which CPOT category is assessed by passive flexion and extension? A, facial expressions. B, body movements. C, muscle tension. Or D, ventilator compliance. Correct answer is C, muscle tension. Right, so remember we have those 4 domains when we're assessing a CPOT score. And it is face, it is body, movements, it is muscle tension, and then that vent, okay? So passive flexion and extension is going to be muscle tension. And then question 3, an intubated patient is grimacing, pulling at restraints, rigid on exam, and frequently triggering ventilator alarms. What CPOT score is most consistent? A, 0, B, 2, C, 4, D, 8. Correct answer is D8. So there's severe findings in all 4 domains, and we'll just write them out. Let's just do it together. So face, we're just going to say movements, we're going to say muscle, and we're going to say vent. So in this patient, the patient is grimacing, right? Grimacing is going to be a +2 score. We can scroll up and just for those watching the video, show people, right? So 0 facial expression, score 0 is relaxed, 1 is tense, 2 is grimacing. So they are grimacing, so they get a +2 for the domain of facial expressions. All right, movement in this patient, they're pulling restraints, they're agitated. That is going to be a +2. We won't scroll up because calm, not flailing or moving is a 0. Some movement is a +1, and then pulling at restraints, pulling at lines and all that, that's a +2. Okay, muscle tension, they're rigid, right? Rigidity is +2. Some resistance is +1, and loose and relaxed is 0. And then they're frequently triggering alarms. We said no alarms is 0. Alarms every once in a while with suctioning is +1, and then frequently triggering alarms is +2. So this is a CPOT score of 8 that suggests they're probably in pain, and pain should be treated. All right, that's all we have for you today. Let us know what thoughts, comments, questions you have down below. Also, we have an awesome YouTube members and Patreon community that we're really enjoying contributing to, so check those out. Everything's tagged in the episode description as well as the pinned comment. We appreciate you all. Stay well, keep learning. We hope to see you next time.
Hey everybody, and welcome to Whiteboard Medicine. We appreciate you checking out the video. Here at Whiteboard Medicine, our goal is to create medical education content for all types of interested learners. That includes videos, practice questions, study resources, and much more. We would love for you to join our community by subscribing, hit that bell button. We're also working to build a high-yield Patreon page. It's going to be full of practice questions, video outlines, notes, commercial-free content, and much more.
None of these videos are intended to be acted upon as medical advice. Please pause the video here and read this disclaimer in its entirety before moving on.